I have not done that yet, so I really need to.
I've got the spinning chair.
I gave it to Caleb. I'm like, I will start doing this the whole time. No.
Yeah, I am guilty as charged on that one. Definitely guilty. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to. Oh, there we go. Cool. I think I figured it out. We're on Instagram too.
Nice.
Awesome. Look at that. I'm learning things. So awesome. Well, hello, everybody. Hello, Traci. Really excited to have this call tonight. I know we've had Traci on before, and she's one of our favorite guests, known her for a while now, and doing really cool things through up north natural health and wellness. And just excited to have you on. I know today we're going to talk about the immune system. I know you've introduced yourself in the past, but how about for anyone who missed that, you want to just give a brief synopsis of who you are and what you do and what you're all about?
Hello, everyone. My name is Traci Shetler. I am a certified traditional naturopath. I worked in occupational therapy in the hospital for about 20 years, and I became very ill. So during that time, to get myself out of that place, I learned holistic and alternative ways to heal and restore the body. So it led me into becoming a naturopath, and just keep learning all these different modalities to help guide others, trying to shorten my background a little bit.
Well, yeah, there's a lot more to it, but that's a great synopsis. That was
Yes.
That was nice and clean. I like that. No, it's great. So helping tons of people. I know today we're going to talk about the immune system and a lot of things, that entail that, and what are natural methods we can use to stay healthy and just kind of be at our peak performance. I think that's something cool. That's how I like to think of life overall, is like performance based. I grew up as an athlete, and I know many of us are no longer athletes per se, but I think we all want to perform throughout the day, and whatever that is, whether it's our job or whether it's with our family or friends, and we want to be able to perform well and kind of be at our peak potential, if you will. And so I know today we're going to talk about some things that can keep us moving in that direction. How can we stay healthy? How can we recover faster? I know you mentioned before we got on this call, you were talking about some immunity kits that you had been preparing. I would love for you maybe to start off by hitting on that. What are these immunity kits?
Sure. So the immunity kits, my friend Nicole and I have been putting these kits together because we're hearing of so many people becoming ill, especially in this colder season. And to help prevent, or if you do become ill, it's to help alleviate those symptoms or the feelings of being overwhelmed and sick. So we have put together, we make our own elderberry syrup, and it's with raw honey, but also we're really digging deep into hidden ingredients. So if your body is overrun with these hidden ingredients, and I'm trying to teach classes on that, which is like citric acid, natural flavors, the list could go on, but those are the two major. If you understand what those really truly are, they make your body ill. So we're trying to make these natural ingredients as natural as possible without those hidden things in there. So natural flavors can be considered a hidden word of MSG. And if you know what MSG is, that's a neurotoxin to your brain, and it can make you very sick. So then your immune system is trying to fight that chemically, so you become ill. So the hidden ingredients, or the kits, are the elderberry and colloidal silver. We have a thieves roll-on that you can put in the navel or on your wrists, so then you can smell the thieves oil, and that's a blood-brain barrier as well. Then we have some cell salts, CELL. Everyone hears me say that, they can't tell what that is, but that cell salts are the minerals made up within your body, and you can absorb them at the cellular microscopic level. So then if you can't, it'll go right to your blood, and that's what you want to do. So there's two different cell salts that are used to help with your, if you're feeling ill or a fever, like Phos is one, and that's number 4. There's 1 through 12. So that's added to the kit. And then we also put together chaga mushroom, which is from one of our forests in Michigan, and cut down with a chainsaw. And there's ashwagandha and burdock root. So then you have 6 tea bags in a small kit, and then we have a large kit that'll have 6 bags, 2 each. So we're trying to put those together, and also teaching a class that talks about making your own healing broth. And the healing broth, because if you get broths at the store, guess what's in it? Hidden ingredients. You got the citric acid, you have the natural flavors. You just read the ingredients and you're taking that in. If you make your own broth, you're avoiding all of those ingredients, and then you can freeze it. And when you're sick, because when you're sick, what do you want to do? Last thing is you don't want to go and cook. So we put some in the freezer too, or someone was sick, so I got some out. I gave it to my daughter to take home. So that's what she had. But you can also do like thyme sprigs, get 2 sprigs, put it in hot water and drink that with raw honey and lemon. So those are just some ideas that we give inside the kit.
Oh, that's great.
But we make those certain things too.
Are you more frequently giving the kit as a preventative measure, or more often when people are starting to experience symptoms, or just both in general?
Both in general, because I get so many calls or messages. My child or I are so sick. What can we do? We just can't get over it. Or we're starting to get sick. So my friend Nicole and I are like, why don't we put together some kits and say, come and get it. Here's the kit right here to get you started. And that way you have something in hand, because most of the time when your immune system is down, that's the last thing you want to do. But also if we can teach and put that information in there, it can show you this is why you may get sick, is you're eating food, your autonomic system is stressed, the emotional, adrenaline, toxic stress can bring your immune system down too. So
yeah, 100%. And
foods.
Yeah.
Certain foods are mucus forming.
So when the couple things that stick out, you talked about hidden ingredients. So it's so funny. We actually didn't know we were going to talk about hidden ingredients today. Just last night, I did this little exercise with my son. I was actually talking to him about seed oils and like processed omega-6 seed oils and how inflammatory those are in the body. And they've actually done studies where they've looked at it compared to smoking, drinking, all of these other things. And they actually found people that consumed the highest amount of omega-6 oils had the highest mortality rate over smoking and drinking and all of these other things, which is insane. But that's one of those hidden ingredients, because the average person walking down the street isn't super aware of what an omega-6 seed oil is or anything like that. So if you look at your ingredient list and you see something like vegetable oil, canola oil, safflower oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, kind of all these oils that just keep going on and on, they're terrible. And so the tough thing is like, even when you're so my son went to the pantry and I said, hey, because I showed him this book I was reading, and I said, hey, go to the cupboard, I want you to pull out a bunch of snacks and let's take a look. And even the all organic, right? It's like, oh, it's organic safflower oil.
Doesn't matter.
And it's canola oil. And it's like, well, that doesn't matter at all. So it's very tricky. It's very deceiving. And then the other ones you talked about too, the artificial sweeteners, the flavors. We know if you see like red 40 or blue, like red dye, blue dye, yellow, those are things that are excitatory. They're neurotoxins. They can really affect the brain, like you talked about with the MSG. And then a good sign for you too, especially if you're out to eat, right? Restaurants are notorious for using seed oils and things like that. And if you find yourself very tired after you go and eat a meal, that's a sign you probably just ate a bunch of crap. It's like, I will confess. So I love like hibachi and stuff like that. But when you go to hibachi, right, they're like dumping the oil on there. And what do you feel like afterwards? Every time, like you feel like you need to take a 6-hour nap. And it's because there's the MSG, there's the omega-6 oils. They actually can excite your brain temporarily, huge crash. And it's a big issue. And then the other one I was going to bring up too, I don't know if you talk about it all, is like phytic acid. I know is one that's kind of a nutrient sucker as well when it's paired in foods, and that's very common in a lot of foods we eat as well.
Yeah, those are a lot of the ones that I cover. Soy is another too. I think I have like 5 pages that I go through all, and then I have all the instructions of why it's not good.
It's pretty daunting. Like I'm curious about this on your end when you're talking and teaching on this. how do you, because to just throw all of this at someone who's been eating the standard American diet all at once is obviously daunting. It's overwhelming
Right.
a lot of the times. How have you found to talk to people about that, and how can you kind of make baby steps into
I'm going
better?
to show you.
Yeah.
So I have been working on a project, and I have it right here at my table.
Perfect.
I don't know if you can see it or not, but this is like little charts that I'm coming up with. Let's see if I can get it to work on here or not. This is about heavy metals, so I got to skip ahead. But I have one on nutrition. So, and the reason I'm showing you this is a food chart. So you can go over this list. Oops, can't see it. This list with people. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Yeah.
And these are foods your body can take. So if I muscle test and someone's body's saying, I need this fruit, I need this vegetable, herb, and spice, or wild food, I give that to them and then explain the foods they can't, because this is the problem. You overdo it with people telling them what they can't do. And then they're like, I'm done. I don't know what else to do.
Yep.
So I feel it out and align to the person, but you say, okay, here's a level right here. Here's the other one. Level 1, level 2.
Perfect.
These are things to break it down. It's like a child that has homework. And actually, I shouldn't even say a child. I have tons of homework. If I have a whole bunch of homework that I have to do all this within 2 hours, I'll be like, I don't want to do it. But if you section it off a little at a time and you can be successful, okay, I quit eating dairy and gluten for 2 weeks. I can maybe add something, and that might even be too much for somebody. You align to what they can do and try not to overwhelm them, but you give them a solution on the other end. So then they'll be successful. So if you could see like level 1, there's mucus forming food. So if your immune system is down, you do not want to eat eggs, dairy, gluten, soft drinks, and be mindful of your salt. So those are pork and gluten are another one, and soy. But again, if I'm telling someone and you're like, that's way too much you just told me. Okay, try not to have eggs, dairy.
Yeah.
Those are mucus forming right there.
Yeah.
So
those
hopefully
would
that
be,
helps break it down.
no, that's great. I love that. And it's so true. Like someone making a couple positive changes is way better than overwhelming them and they make 0 positive changes.
Right.
So
Yeah. Because they look at you like, I'm never coming back to see you again.
yeah, no, I love that. I love the charts that you made. Those are phenomenal. So I'm curious just on the mucus forming foods, is that similar to like high histamine foods? Is that kind of tying into that as well, or not necessarily?
Some of them, but not necessarily. And again, so when I showed you that chart, I have little examples of why the foods are mucus forming. So then people can understand, I love eggs. Why can't I eat eggs? Well, they're one of the worst ones that you can eat. They used to be healthy for us, but the 20th century has taken it away from our research labs. That's how they make our vaccines. That's how they do the viruses and bacterias. Those viruses and bacterias thrive in eggs. So our bodies can't take eggs. Even if you have chickens that you don't feed them grain or corn or whatever else, any GMOs, it still doesn't matter. Our bodies see that as a signal as inflammatory or mucus forming now. They weren't back when. So I have to explain that to clients sometimes because they have an emotional response to eggs because it's one of the only proteins they eat.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's
again, if you're sick and that's all you have, by all means, you have to eat what you have to eat. That you have to be realistic too. I mean, I get that. But when my son has been sick, what do you tell him? Don't eat sugar and milk or dairy because it's mucus for me. It starts coming up. So avoid that. It's the same with this type of stuff, a little bit deeper level.
No, that's great. And that's and I think everyone just listening or watching to this, whether it's live or recorded or whatever, I think when we talk about some of these foods, like eggs is a good example, I still think, like when you're sick or you're having this response or it's mucus forming, it's not a good idea. However, we know that the average American diet is like eggs is a much better alternative than the Doritos or the
Right,
other stuff that
right.
we're eating, right? So I guess everyone that's just listening, if this is newer stuff to you, keep that in mind. Like,
Mhm.
we're not throwing everything out the window here, and
No.
it's all about making those subtle changes. And there's levels, just like Traci literally called it level
Mhm.
1, level 2. And so at first it's like get all the processed stuff out, right? That's kind of the first
Right.
like easy
Yeah.
sweeping thing to do. Then we can
Mhm.
dig really deep into even more natural foods at different
Right.
times, right? So I just
Yeah.
wanted to throw that out there for people as well. So how about how about preventing symptoms, right? We're talking about the immune system here. If we want to be preventative, what are some things, especially around this quote unquote flu season, right? When it gets
Mhm.
cold out, which to me just means people are more sedentary, they're not moving. It's the holidays, so they're eating more sugar and
Yep.
drinking more alcohol. They're not seeing the sun, so they're not getting their vitamin D. That's what the flu season is. It really has nothing
Mhm.
to do with the actual season, in my opinion. But what would you recommend from like a preventative standpoint?
So again, it would be some of the things I mentioned from the kit, like take elderberry syrup and you could do 2 or 3 tablespoons a day or 1 tablespoon as a maintenance.
Mhm,
Your vitamin C. Again, you want to check your ingredients.
mhm.
So when you're taking certain supplements, you want high end because if you're not, you're going to be taking stuff in that's kind of defeating the purpose of taking it. So I would be eating fruits too. All the fruits and vegetables that you can, those are your natural ones that you can have. Trying to get organic. Again, you got to be realistic. I get it with finances and that kind of thing. The thyme that I was saying, like get the little thyme sprigs.
Mhm.
So I've been buying thyme sprigs and mint, the leaves, and then I just steep those and I drink 1 or 2 a day. You can put thyme oil in your belly button, but use a carrier oil.
Mhm.
Um, like you said, the vitamin D3, that's a good one if you need to do that. Watch the ingredients. You need the high end stuff that doesn't have a lot of hidden things in it. I'm trying to think of some other things.
Also, with that vitamin D3, it's good to have K2,
K2, yep,
K2
yep,
in with the D3 so you can actually use it.
yep. I was going to say that. Thank you. Um, and lemon water again. That lemon water throughout the day because that is such a purifier. Helps your liver and your pH and your immune system. You can use a diffuser with oils to keep the air clean. Um, it is what you put in and out on your body.
Yeah,
That's
that's
why
great.
your immune system gets weakened. So, whatever you can give it inside or on the outside helps it chemically to do what it's going to do. I do want to mention one other thing, too, that I don't know if a lot of women know. I've done some research on it, and not to get personal, but women need to know this. When they're getting ready to menstruate, their body goes to help them with their menstruation. So their immune system is over here, not getting as much help. So if you have struggle with your menstruation and you crave those foods that are not good for you, your body is not protected. So I have several clients every time like a day or two after their menstruation period, they get deathly sick. It's a pattern that they have.
Mhm.
So if you know that you need to get rid of some pathogens, now that I'm mentioning that could be a part of it, um, but if you give your body the right foods during your menstruation, it would be best if you could optimally all the time, but really try some of those other things that I mentioned and eat better because then your immune system isn't fighting so hard to keep it where it needs to be because it's doing other things for you.
No, that makes a ton of sense. And that it makes me think of, something we talk a lot about here because we've seen people get under care at our office for, chiropractic purposes, musculoskeletal purposes. And they're like, man, I'm like sick a few times a year and I haven't been sick this year. Like,
Mhm,
does this have anything to do with it? And for us, it goes to that concept you just talked about where when the body's distracted doing other things, right? So,
mhm,
um, I know you know this, but for people listening, there's some different parts of our nervous system, which is our brain and spinal cord, and what controls all the functions in our body. And we kind of have the rest and digest side, and then we have the fight or flight side. So we have this parasympathetic side. It's the rest and digest, which we should be in 90+% of the time. And that's when we can, like it says, we have proper sleep cycles. We can digest. Our immune system is humming along perfectly. Everything is like going well. Body's repairing, it's recovering and healing. But we have this fight or flight side, which is called the sympathetic nervous system. And when people get locked into that, you can get locked into that from lots of things. And it's basically stressors, right? It can be chemical stressors like you're talking about from foods. It can be physical stressors too, though. So if someone's in constant debilitating pain, your body has you in a constant stress state. When if we think back to, like evolutionary perspective, we had to have this fight or flight reflex because we had to survive and we had to stay alive. It's a lot less useful in modern day society. But if you were at the watering hole and a saber-toothed tiger jumped out, you had to fight it or you had to run. Like those were the two options. And in that moment, when your body triggers that stress response, it's not worried about digesting that berry that you just ate. And it's not worried about your immune system. It's not worried about any of that stuff. So it takes your resources and kind of reallocates them, similar to what you're saying with the menstrual cycle. And so that's where, we say the word holistic all the time. It's almost overused now, but it's so true, right? That's how the body works, this holistic picture. So if you have any of these like holes in the bucket, if you will, that the body's going to allocate those resources, and it can lead to other issues. And you might not even connect the dots, but that can be. So and two other things I wanted to just ask you about. One was those cell salts. I was just curious, are those like, are we talking like it's going to have chloride, potassium, magnesium, like those? Okay, so totally different than that.
Totally different.
Okay. Do you mind breaking that down? I'm just curious a little more on what they're about.
Cell salts are you familiar with the homeopathic pellets?
A little bit, yeah.
So it's similar to that, except the cell salts they're 1 through 12, and then also the bioplasma, which is all of the cell salts. But it's like ferrin phos, mag phos, nat phos, calc phos. Again, it's 1 through 12. Okay. And it works at the microscopic level, and they each have a category that they work towards. So like mag phos would be wonderful for someone that has heart issues. It's a relaxer. Oh yeah, Caleb, this is an old bottle, but this is what the bottle used to look like. They sold Highlands. It's sold, and it's a different bottle now. Cool. Actually, that kit right up there, the biochemic kit, is all 12 of them. So it'll work on cold and flus. I recommend a book that I have clients get. It's like $10 or $12, something like that they can order, that has all the cell salts and what it does to help your body heal the tissues, the organs. It names just about anything and everything, and it's at a microscopic level. That's why I really like the cell salts. People respond. I had issues with anemia my entire life. And once I was introduced to the cell salts, I no longer have anemic issues. Of course, I had to do other things, but that was a piece that I needed at a cellular level.
That's great. That's really cool.
And dogs can use it too. Like I give it to my dogs all the time. And then the vet's like, a cell salt? You're giving him salts? I'm like, no, it's not really salts.
Yeah, that's why I'm not familiar with those. So that's why I was very curious about them. I'm gonna have to look those up. So
I'll send you the book, or I'll send you the book title so you can. It's a very easy read, and people are willing to look at it that way too. And it has A through Z. It'll tell you like issues of cold, arthritis, stomach vomiting, eye issues, joint problems. It's really a nice little reference.
Awesome.
I've destroyed my book.
Yeah, I bet. That's how you know it's good. Yeah.
Yep.
And then the other thing I wanted to touch on is, I think, a cool concept for people to understand when we're talking about, because you talked about, hey, there's hidden ingredients, there's all these toxicities that basically come up into the body, and in a nutshell, if you just boil it down, that's essentially how we get sick. That's how the body gets overburdened. So a term I like to use is called system burden. So like,
I like that.
What is your total system burden overall? It was kind of funny. So I met someone recently. It was actually this past summer, and I still remember this because it was a very interesting conversation. But it's someone who's really big in the weight loss space. He even has his own like Netflix special coming out soon here in the next 6 months that he's been working on. And I met this person and we golfed together and stuff, and we were talking a lot about health, right? So what was interesting is he has weight loss clients and things like that, and he was just talking about how he's not afraid of things like aspartame or like these artificial sweeteners and things like that, because when research has come out, like you may have seen, it was a few months back, like research came out showing that, oh, if you have, X amount, it's going to lead to cancer based on cells or mice studies or whatever. And he's like, yeah, well, when you look at that research, you would need to eat like a pound of aspartame to equate the amount they gave to the mouse or whatever. I'm paraphrasing the study here, but that was the idea. It was like, he's like, well, that's unrealistic. A human would never eat that much. So like, I'm not going to be worried about that. But my response, which I think made him hopefully think a little bit, was just,
Right.
So that's one thing. Aspartame is one thing that people could have throughout the day. And for people who don't know aspartame, that was like the big artificial sweetener when they started taking sugar out of everything. That is what they put in to still make it taste sweet. That's just one example. Sucralose, that's another one, right? So my question though is like, yeah, the average person, that's not the only toxin that they're taking in every day. So yeah, you could say maybe it's unreasonable that if that's the only toxin they ever had, that it might not cause a catastrophic health event or any health event. But what about everything else we're eating?
Else. It's all the
standard,
buildup.
again, back to like the standard, what the average American is eating and drinking on a daily basis and putting in their body. What's the total system burden of all that? And I think it's pretty much impossible to study, but I think with logic, you can just say, hey, if you have aspartame here and sucralose here and red 40 here and blue dye here and all these things every day, all day, how is that not going to add up into some sort of toxicity where even if you don't get physically ill, your neurons are not firing like they should, your brain doesn't function as it should, you're more tired than you should be. There's all of these things, right? So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. There's so many toxins in our world that one may just break you. You have the deodorants, lotions, conventional stuff, hair dyes, cleaning supplies. The one thing that I'm really paying attention to is people eat out of cans, metal cans. Sure. That leaches. So then if you already have mercury, so heavy metals are generational issues. Like I've had a few clients, their parents played with mercury. Well, that passes on to your children. So then you have mercury. All of us have it, regardless of what we think or say we do. But then if we have aluminum, barium, what's all the other? I have a whole list of all the heavy metals. But then you're eating out of a tuna fish, which is in a can. That's mercury and aluminum right there. That's something that's coming into your system. But then you put a deodorant on that has aluminum on it or in it. Then someone's got a perfume on that makes your eyes water and you start sneezing, dust particles, car fumes, gasoline on your skin because you pumped gas and it leaked on your skin. I better not say, someone that loves to kill ants. You got the poison. Yeah. So then you're breathing it. It's on your hands. It goes in your body. And then that aspartame actually stays in your body. You can't detox it very fast. So when you were saying that, I was like, that is in your body. Yeah. But then you have like those hidden ingredients that we were talking about. And I have lists of pharmaceuticals. I have a whole list of each of those categories that you can muscle test to see what your body is having an adverse reaction to or a sensitivity.
Yep. No,
yeah, I agree with you. It's like and then you have emotional stressors on top of it.
Yeah. Emotional and physical. Yeah, exactly. So it's a lot out there, as anyone watching this, it's a lot to learn. Traci studies this stuff exclusively, and I obviously like to dabble in all things health as well. So this is not something you can, you learn overnight. We talked about there being levels. It's like, just start making these healthy choices. Traci, how can people get more information from you? How could they potentially become a client? Talk about that for me here. So
I have my Up North Natural Health and Wellness website. I'm also on Facebook, and I try to keep that update and put posts in there every day so people can get a hold of me if they need to through Facebook or my website. So email. I think I posted my numbers on all of that information as well. So it's just the Up North Natural Health .com.
Awesome.
So hopefully that helps, and always love to have new clients. So
Definitely.
any education I can do.
No, that's amazing. So, and then for us, we have recently implemented a lot of complimentary consultation type things too in our office, just so people can come get some answers and see if there's anything we can do for them or answer any health related questions. So for us, we currently offer a free spinal severity screening. So anyone with some musculoskeletal issues, low back pain, neck pain, headaches, things like that, we're actually doing a complimentary screening for those now. To see if it might be a problem that we might be able to address or point you elsewhere. And then same thing, we also have a neuropathy severity screening that's complimentary as well. So you can find that at our website, theshifttc.com. So you can find those there. Any last words, Tracy?
We covered a lot of information in a short bit of time. Hopefully it wasn't overwhelming.
I know. I hope not too, but I like go down these rabbit holes because I'm so curious myself. So
Right.
Hopefully that was helpful. If you do have questions, reach out to Tracy. You can reach out to us. You can post the comments on this. We'll answer any questions. But other than that, we'll do this again soon. Thank you so much for hopping
Okay.
on.
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah.